For our today's learning journey, we will start with SAP HANA Cloud and then proceed towards the provisioning of the instance on SAP BTP. We will then cover the SAP HANA cockpit capabilities. Next, we will continue in the second session on the remaining topics. This is the agenda for APJ region. If you can also look for other two regions in, I think it's in US and in Europe, and the content will be the same. There will be one follow-up Ask the Expert session happened 10 days later after the next session. And this Ask the Expert session, we can ask any questions we have. And according to the regarding the slides and the recording, they will be automatically distributed via the email to all the participants about 2 business days after the last session in this enablement series. However, since the Ask the Expert session has days later, so in case you don't want to wait for the content, we will be providing a temporary share where you can access these typically 1 business day after each session. If you look into the chat box, I have copied and pasted the URL for our sharing point in the chat box, and you can visit the URL. Yeah, I'll do that again in case you join the session. And to give you a quick look of where you can find the content, so I am now sharing my browser. When you click, go to the chat box and then click in the URL of the SharePoint, you enter password BTP, and then you will see this page. And then you go to the APJ. You can see that all the slides we will use, I have shared them here. And for the recording of the Zoom session, you can go here. First part is foundation, which is a pre-recorded video. I think when you visit the registration page, you will be able to see the link. And now here I provide the link again. You can watch the video before the 2 main sessions. And if you have not watched the video, I think we will also quickly go over the foundation content in the second session. And after today's session, I will share the password and recording link here. And after the next session, I'll also share the password and recording here. The expire date is the last day of December 31st, for the entire SharePoint. So you can download the slides now in the SharePoint, and the expiration date for the recording, because I don't know if there is expiration date, because the recording is saved via Zoom, not on the SharePoint. So again, it is encouraged to save the recording on your own if you want to, as soon as possible. Yeah. Okay, so that's the content, the materials for for the session. And now let's go back to the presentation. Now, let's start with the main content, SAP HANA Cloud. This is a 2-day session, so here we see the agenda of today's session. We will first go through what is SAP HANA Cloud, and then because SAP HANA Cloud is held on SAP BTP, so we will show you what is SAP BTP and how to set up an account on SAP BTP. You can use your company's enterprise account if you are provided with one, or as an individual developer, you can also go to sap.com to create your trial account. The trial account is for personal use. So for this learning journey, you are suggested to use the trial account and do the hands-on there. And then we will go to the provisioning part and see how we can create an SAP HANA Cloud instance. And as an administrator, we will take a look at SAP HANA Cockpit, which is a tool for the administrator on SAP HANA Cloud. That's what we will cover today. So next, let's look at the first part. What is SAP HANA Cloud? Companies' landscapes have developed and grown over time. Most of these landscapes have become so complex that maintaining the system require more efforts than focusing on the innovation and the future scope. This has led enterprises to research into setups which can be maintained, updated, and accessed efficiently. This led to the move in the cloud infrastructure. On-premise landscapes have evolved and were customized to cater one specific business topic. However, given the future requirements and increasing complexity of business development and maintenance efforts has increased over time. Large data volumes with data formats focused to solve user cases relevant to one applications has led to data integration or consumption issues in other systems. The data silo issue arises when data is stored on different locations to cater the need of that specific business applications. The IT requires a lot of efforts to achieve data consistency across the regions. The complex infrastructures eventually arise to fit the need of different software landscapes. One solution may be running on a certain database, operating system, or hardware, whereas the other solution can be running on a different one. Connecting the data from such systems has its own added complexity. In addition to that, with the updates in the strictness of data compliance, it is important that the existing and any new developments fulfill the data compliance definitions. Any violations could result in losses of many types. The cloud infrastructure simplifies these problems by moving the infrastructure from on-premise to a more easily accessible infrastructure. This way, developers and the consumers can work and use the systems without the above-mentioned complexity. The SAP Intelligent Enterprise vision helps companies to become an intelligent enterprise themselves, enabling companies to make impactful changes to run their business better by growing more resilient, more profitable, and more sustainable. SAP BTP provides DBMS services, analytics services, application development, and integration to other systems, along with layers intelligent technologies. The intelligent enterprise includes the topic from AI to IoT, from data formats to integrations, from streamlining analytics to planning and forecasting. At the core of intelligent enterprise, the SAP BTP includes the S, which is for experience, and O for the operations. As shown in the recent statistics, the future of DBMS market is cloud, and the reasons for moving into the clouds are data explosion in volume sites, the countless number of different data types and data resources, flexibility and timely delivery of hardware and software resources, low cost of total cost of ownership. And in the future, in the figure, you can see the SAP BTP capabilities and tools which we can use. One of the tools in SAP HANA Cloud, which will be highlighted for this session. SAP HANA Cloud is a fully managed in-memory multi-tier cloud database as a service. It is in the foundations of BTP, and it integrates data from across the enterprise to enable faster analytics and decision making. Some important features of SAP HANA Cloud are combining SAP HANA Cloud SAP HANA qualities with high volume transactional focus services, all data access available anywhere, simplified data processing and data harmonization for data integration, cloud qualities like low TCO, elasticity, high availability, resilience, and autonomous behavior, simplified data remote access with the need to move data around, integrated developer environment for development and customization. The SAP HANA Cloud, SAP HANA database is a cloud-native platform that reduces the complexity of multi-cloud or hybrid system landscapes. SAP HANA Cloud provides all of the non-advantages of SAP HANA on-premise technologies for multi-modal data processing in memory or on disk with the benefits of the cloud infrastructure. Comparing SAP HANA Cloud with SAP HANA on-premise show that many administrative tasks are handled as a managed service by the cloud provider. In SAP HANA Cloud, the following administrative tasks are handled by the cloud provider in the managed service part: selection, purchase, and provision of the servers and storage, installing, configuring, and upgrading the operating system, installing, configuring, and patching the database software, backing up and restoring and recovering the database software, tuning the database to run optimal on the underlying operating system and hardware. As a database administrator, you are still in control and you can deploy new SAP HANA database instance with the required CPU and disk resources whenever you need them. The big advantage is you don't need to go through the whole hardware buying, configuring, and software installation process. The automated processes within SAP HANA Cloud make sure the SAP HANA database with the requested hardware resources is available within minutes instead of weeks or sometimes months. Database patching is fully automated and is basically reduced to a stop and start of the SAP HANA database. The moment in time when the database patch is applied is fully controlled by the SAP database administrators. The SAP multi-cloud foundation built around 3 environments: Cloud Foundry environment, Schema, and ABAP on BTP. The first one, Cloud Foundry, allows you to create polyglot cloud applications in Cloud Foundry and is based on Cloud Foundry open source cloud application platform. It is an open source industry standard PaaS, platform as a service technology for developing and deploying cloud applications in both private and public cloud environments. It is designed to be run on the common public cloud providers. It uses a container-based architecture and supports several programming languages, as well as runtimes and services. SAP oversees the development of Cloud Foundry software and its ecosystem. The SAP BTP Cloud Foundry environment is based on the open source Cloud Foundry technology. It can be used to enhance existing SAP applications, develop new enterprise applications based on business APIs. And the second environment, Schema, is a runtime you can use to build cloud-native Kubernetes-based extensions. It is a fully managed Kubernetes runtime based on the open source project Schema, which lets you extend SAP solutions with serverless functions and combine them with the containerized microservices. It ensures the smooth consumption of both SAP and non-SAP applications by running workloads in a highly scalable environment and building event-based and API-based extensions. Every Schema environment contains a Kubernetes cluster provisioned on a cloud provider and region of your choice, and the open source project Schema installed in its latest version on the provisioned cluster. And the third environment, SAP BTP ABAP environment, is the platform as a service for ABAP developers, a cloud optimized ABAP platform based on SAP HANA. Services as a development and runtime environment for cloud apps utilizing the service framework of BTP. And regarding SAP HANA Cloud It is built on top of SAP Multi-Cloud Foundation in the Cloud Foundry environment, and it is running inside Kubernetes as a container. For more information about these three environments, you can click the link provided on the slide. The SAP HANA Cloud provides the database and data management services to SAP Analytics Cloud, Data Warehouse Cloud, business applications, and third-party applications. We have SAP HANA Database, Data Lake, and Adaptive Server Enterprise, Adaptive Server Enterprise Replication. SAP HANA Cloud SAP HANA Database is a powerful in-memory database system combining OLTP and OLAP technologies complemented with a multi-model engine for relational and documents data. And the data lake is a market-leading analytics data platform providing high-performance, on-demand analytics, supporting customers with timely data-driven insights. And the Adaptive Server Enterprise support customers' mission-critical applications with proven market-leading extreme online transaction processing technology that scales across the enterprise. And SAP HANA Cloud Adaptive Server Enterprise Replication, highly scalable technology that provides real value to the business to distribute data across application landscapes with minimal resources and supports data integrity. SAP HANA Cloud allows real-time data virtualization for federated on-premise and cloud data sources. The SAP HANA Cloud lets you consume the SAP HANA database data from an application running on SAP BTP, as well as from applications running on-premise or in other cloud services using the standard SAP HANA client. The SAP HANA Cloud provides simplified data across access to connect all your information without the need to have all data loaded in a single storage solution. Developers and modelers can use the SAP HANA transaction and modeling features on SAP HANA Cloud database, instanced as well as on-premise database. SAP HANA Cloud is capable of handling structured, semi-structured, or unstructured remote data sources. SAP HANA Cloud also provides the possibility to create hybrid landscapes by using the SAP HANA Smart Data Access and SAP HANA Smart Data Integration capabilities. A common replication SQL interface is available that combines SDA remote table app replication and standard SDI-based replication, optimized for SAP HANA to SAP HANA Cloud replication with remote table replication, a native SAP HANA feature using the transaction layer locks. Flexibility and connectivity options are available via the standard SDI replication supporting any data resources. In-memory or native storage extensions, NSE, are available as a storage option for the table replications in HANA Cloud. Remote SAP Remote Table Replication is provided between on-premise SAP HANA SPS 05 Plus and SAP HANA Cloud via the SAP Cloud Connector. Okay, above is the technical side of SAP HANA Cloud, and now we will look at a more practical side. Now, let's first see how we set up SAP BTP account. Before we can reach the SAP BTP account setup, we will first need an SAP account. For these, we can go to the sap.com page and trigger the registration process. Fill in the information and proceed with the register button. You will receive a confirmation email with a link to activate your SAP account. By clicking the link and pressing continue, your account will be created. Now you can go to the sap.com or the people.sap.com page and log in with the email and credentials you used to set up your account. You can then proceed on the people.sap.com and fill in any information you would like to share with you. The profile is private by default, but you can also choose to make it public to other users on sap.com. What is the SAP ID service here? It is an identity provider that uses the SAML 2.0 specification and can authenticate users for single sign-on to SAP Cloud Solution. So by using the SAP ID service, you will get connected to different SAP Cloud products as easy as logging on to your local work desktop computer. In addition to the SAP ID service, telephone number verification is provided on your first logon to the BTP account. You are required to enter a valid contact number to receive a verification code. Once you are logged into your SAP account, you can start your SAP HANA account trial. As mentioned before, it is part of the SAP Business Technology Platform. So you navigate to SAP HANA Cloud Trial URL to create of your free SAP HANA Cloud Trial. Click the Get Started with a 1-year free trial button to start the procedure. The SAP BTP trial setup process makes only a few minutes, but you have to perform the following steps to complete the process. In the Welcome to your personal trial window, you select the region that is closest to you. Your instance will be set up in a data center in the region to make sure network latency is minimal. And to start the creation process, press the Create Account button, and BTP trial setup process takes only a few minutes. When the process is finished, you can press the continue. And then you are redirected to the BTP trial landing page. Press go to your trial account button to open your SAP BTP trial account. After you have registered yourself using SAP HANA Cloud Trial as a direct link to the SAP HANA Cloud Trial account, make sure that you have saved all your content before the deletion, because you are using the trial account, so it has a 1-year life span. An inactive account will be suspended after 30 days of inactivity. And of course, you can spend that. But after these 365 days, the SAP HANA Cloud and all the content you have created on the trial account will be deleted. So just make sure that you have saved everything. Or you can use an enterprise account to prevent the deletion. So here it shows you the two-factor authentication. When you are using the enterprise account instead of trial account, you can navigate to the enterprise SAP BTP website, and then the two-factor authentication code, passcode, is generated by your SAP Authenticator app. And then by filling in the passcode, you will be able to log into your enterprise SAP BTP account. Here we have a quick demo to show you the process. Let me just find it. So we go to sap.com and start the trial. We fill in all the necessary information with your business email address and phone number. And then you will receive an activating email by clicking the Activate Your Account button. The account is finalized. And now we start our trial. Before that, we need to verify the telephone number. We agree on the terms and conditions and continue. And we choose a region to create the subcount. Now, as you can see, global count, subcount, and the Cloud Foundry environment is automatically setting up for us. We click on enter your trial count, then we will go to the SAP BTP cockpit with the overview page of your global count. Yeah. That's for the demo. And now let's go back to the slides. Okay, you have now logged on to your enterprise or trial SAP BTP landing page. You go into the trial home button, and then you will see the overview of your global count. The SAP HANA cockpit, SAP HANA Cloud trial provides you with the following features. You can create an SAP HANA Cloud, SAP HANA database instance with 30 GB RAM, 2 vCPUs, and 120 GB storage. You can create and connect to a data lake with 4 vCPUs and 1 TB storage. You can perform SAP HANA Cloud database administration tasks using the SAP HANA cockpit and the SAP HANA Database Explorer attached to your instances. So now let's see how do we create a database instance. You should always know that we have 2 tools to do that. The first one is through the cockpit, which is a web UI. Or you can choose to download the command line interface if you prefer to work with your terminal. It will be the Cloud Foundry CLI. And then when you download the CLI, you need to log into the Cloud Foundry Enterprise to Cloud Foundry endpoint, and you can find the URL for the endpoint on your subcount page. Because on the subcount overview page, you can see the Cloud Foundry environment message information. And if you are using the Cloud Foundry CLI to create a database instance, then you will use this cf create service command. Now we will show you how do we create and set up the SAP HANA Cloud on BTP. So, firstly, we should know that I think it's in the foundation session we have introduced the concept of global count, subcount, and the entitlement, services, and service plan. And before we can create a service instance, we need to go to Service Market to see that if we have the access to SAP HANA Cloud. So we go to the Service Market of the subcount, and then we search for SAP HANA Cloud, and we can see there are 3 service plans. Again, you can do that using your CF command line interface. You use CF Marketplace to see that. If you cannot find SAP HANA Cloud, then it is possibly because of that you have not assigned the entitlement to your sub-account. So you can do that on your own. If you are using the enterprise account. If you are using the trial account, then I think this is automatically assigned to you, because in your global account, you can get access to all the trial service plan for all the services. And now let's learn about how do we provision an SAP HANA Cloud instance. This is the concept of entitlements and quotas, which was mentioned on SAP BTP, or external dependencies such as database, message systems, file systems, etc. They are services. Each service has one or more service plans available. A service plan is the representation of the cost and benefits for a given variant of a particular service. And a service plan can be selected in your BTP account. That is called entitlement. Quotas represent the amount of services you are entitled to use. These are purchased at global account level and can be assigned to sub-accounts. You are also assigned a limit quota of your experimentation and check out the services in the trial account. Here is the page where you can search for the entitlement assigned to you. If not, you can also use the page to assign the entitlement with the service and service plan. And for SAP HANA Cloud Service and SAP HANA schemas and HDI containers, it is enabled here. This allows us to use the SAP HANA Cloud Service in our spaces. And once we're logged on to SAP.com account and have gone through the process of setting up accounts, sub-accounts, dev space, and assigning the entitlements of the respective accounts, sub-accounts, we can now open the dev space and go to SAP HANA Cloud. The breadcrumbs area on the navigation plan shows our location on the BTP. And here we can see now we're under the sub-account of trial and the dev space of dev. And we click on the menu on the left, SAP HANA Cloud. We will go to the Manage SAP HANA Cloud. by clicking on the button. And you can create only one instance using the trial BTP account, where on the enterprise BTP account, you can create multiple instances based on the available entitlements. Now, let's navigate to the SAP HANA Cloud Central tool, where we can do the further provisioning. Here we are in SAP HANA Cloud Center. Using these tools, you can perform several tasks. And for example, get an overview of the statistic of all the SAP HANA Cloud instances that you can access. You can review notifications and alerts. You can check the configuration memory, compute, and storage consumption of an instance. You can check the high availability configuration of an instance. You can deploy new SAP HANA Cloud instance, change the configuration of an instance. You can add a data lake to an existing instance, start, stop, and delete instance here. You can recover or recreate an instance. You can open the SAP HANA Cockpit from here for an instance. You can also open the Database Explorer from here for an instance. Now, let's say we have already selected the creation of SAP HANA Cloud SAP HANA Database and are at the wizard of the creation. The first step is choosing the type, which will be a database instance here. And then the second step here, we are requested to select the organization and the space. The organization and space comes in handy when a company has multiple organizations and spaces. Here we have to select the right org and space. When we fill out the instance name, the description, and admin password, and select the next step to continue with the wizard. I would also recommend that we fill the description in there so that we can have a definition in case we have multiple instances. We can have an overview on which instance is responsible for which project. Once we have selected that, we can go to the next step. And here you can see on the right, we have 30 gigabytes of the in-memory. And then we will have 120 gigabytes for the disk. This is fixed if you are using trial account. But for an enterprise BTP account, you can certainly have much larger RAM and disk space and CPU availability. And here next step is to select the RAM and disk usage for your HANA Cloud instance, for your HANA database instance. Now you can see that the option is fixed. because the screenshot is taken from a trial account. And here in this step 4, we're going to look at more relevant for the enterprise accounts. For the enterprise user, you can specify which availability zones they would like to use for their database and its replicas. It can be selected automatically or manually. Availability zones are dependent on the memory size. If an availability zone is not available for your database, maybe it is because of the memory size. It is not enough for you to use. So you can reduce the memory size, or you can select another availability zone that is available for you. And then secondly, we can specify the number of replicas. We can set up one replica for our instance and helps us if it is needed. It is updated automatically, and an automatic takeover will take place when needed. But now, since we are using the trial count, we cannot choose availability zone. It's manually assigned here. And we can also we cannot use multiple replicas here as well. And in this step, it is optional. You can choose the connection. There are 3 options for you to choose from. Allow only BTP IP addresses. This is the most secure option, but this also means that SAP HANA database instance only can be accessed from application inside the BTP environment. No connections to the outside world are possible. The second option, allow all IP addresses, allows the connections from every IP addresses in the internet. This option is only suitable if you have a public service that needs to be accessible from anywhere in the world. And the third option allowed specific IP addresses and IP ranges. This option allows you to specify your company IP addresses or IP ranges. With this option, your employees from the corporate network can access the SAP HANA database instance in the SAP BTP. And for Cloud Connector, you also need to decide whether you want your SAP HANA Cloud, SAP HANA database to connect to your on-premise remote data sources through the Cloud Connector. The Cloud Connector serves as a link between SAP, that BTP applications, and your on-premise systems. It allows you to use your existing on-premise assets without exposing the entire internal landscape to the outside world. The Cloud Connector runs on an on-premise agent in a secured network and acts as a reverse invoke proxy between the on-premise network and SAP BTP. The cloud connected options is providing the following features for business critical enterprise scenario. It can automatically recover the broken connections. audit logging of inbound traffic and configuration changes, high availability setup. And in the Enterprise SAP BTP account, you can also add SAP HANA script server and an SAP HANA document store as additional feature to the SAP HANA database instance. Then you can add these features to SAP HANA database instance, and you might require more CPU compute and increasing your licensing cost. And the final step of the creation wizard is where you can decide to add an integrated data lake instance to your HANA database instance. This integrated data lake allows you to ingest, store, and analyze high volumes of data economically and securely. You can access and manage the integrated data lake from your database. So what is an integrated SAP HANA data lake? It gives you the option to store the older and rarely used but still important code data in the data layer, controlled by SAP HANA database instance. This database instance allows the database instance already stores your hot data in memory, in warm data in SAP NSE. With the additional data lake to the SAP HANA Cloud Database instance, you have the access to all your data from one single framework. But if you are not using the integrated SAP HANA data lake, that's fine. You can create the database instance first, and then you can create another data lake instance. So now we will just click the Create Instance button and refresh the screen, or you can wait for the screen to be refreshed automatically, and then you can see that your database instance is created with an administrator user, that is DB admin user, with the password that you put in this wizard. Of course, you can use Cloud Foundry command line interface to do that, as we mentioned before. And here, what you will use to specify the memory and the password is to via the parameter, and of the flag is C here. Now, before we can continue with the next step about data lake, let's recap the knowledge on data storage option in SAP HANA Cloud. So the data is stored in 3 levels of usage frequency. The first level is hot data. This is the data that is stored in the memory, has a high performance, high CTO, and is best suited for the frequently changed data. And we have warm data that not requiring high performance and less frequently changed, and therefore stored on a disk, also called the native storage extension. Native storage extension, although it is more cost efficient, then in-memory hot data, it is still has low latency. And the lower layer is cold data that is accessed less often and can be stored on the cold storage, such as integrated data lake. These data can be of much larger size than hot data or warm data and still support rapid data access. Other than that, we can use external persistent storage to store the cold data. So related to the warm data, the SAP HANA native storage extension is a general purpose built-in warm data storage in SAP HANA that lets you manage the less frequently accessed data without fully loading it into the memory. It integrates disk-based or flash drive-based database technology with the SAP HANA in-memory database for an improved price-performance ratio. And the capacity of a standard HANA database is equal to the amount of hot data in memory. However, the capability of a HANA database with NSE is the amount of hot data in memory plus the amount of warm data on disk. The SAP HANA native storage extension is enabled by default in an SAP HANA Cloud, SAP HANA database instance. So SAP HANA NSE is integrated with other SAP HANA functional layers, such as Query Optimizer, Query Execution Engine, Column Store, and Persistence layer. Now, the cold data is the data that typically is written once, updated rarely, and analyzed for patterns. Organizations face the challenge of finding a sustainable, cost-effective, and efficient solution for all these data that mostly doesn't need to be accessed or used often, but still need to be stored. This is where the SAP cold data, or what we say, data lake, can be very effective. It is a data lake that can reach a petabyte scale, as well as store structured and unstructured data. This makes sure that you can store the data without structuring it first, and then use it for analytics if necessary. Built on SAP Relational Engine, the data lake provides excellent performance for analytics across large volumes of data. With the SAP HANA data lake, you avoid the risk of creating an uncontrollable, unusable data dump. For some use cases where the business requires additional large data storage to analyze or store large data, like sensor reading, for such cases, we will add the data lake on top of HANA database. To achieve this task, first we need to navigate to the dev space where the HANA database was created, and then open the SAP BTP cockpit and click SAP HANA Cloud button, and then click Manage SAP HANA Cloud button to go to the SAP HANA Cloud Central. Now, we can use the filters to search and access the database instance. And we find the database instance. We click the Actions button as highlighted in step 2. And we navigate to the Add Data Lake option. Following the previous steps, we will end up at the creation wizard again. And this description and creation setup of the data lake, we need to specify the data lake instance name and description in the basic layer, in the basic area. And then we also need to enter a confirm the strong password. The user HDL admin is automatically created and assigned to your data lake administration tasks. And in the size area of the input screen, we can specify the number of vCPUs for the compute and storage nodes. The minimal required number of vCPUs is calculated from the storage size. In the trial account, the storage size is fixed, so you have to access the given number of vCPUs. In an enterprise SAP BTP account, you can also select the storage service type. You can choose between SAP native data lake files and AWS Elastic File Systems. In the trial account, it is fixed to AWS Elastic File System and cannot be changed. In the connections area, you can specify which IP addresses are allowed to connect to your data lake instance. Then, the option following all IP addresses means that your data lake allowing all IP addresses, and it can be exposed to the whole internet. So we must be very cautious with these options. If you don't want to add an integrated data lake into your database, then a standalone data lake can also be created, very similar to create a HANA database instance in the SAP HANA Cloud Central. In the first step of the Create Instance wizard, you need to decide which type of instance you want to create. In this example, select the SAP HANA Cloud Data Lake option. After the instance type selection, continue to the next. In the general basic area, you need to specify the instance name and descriptions of the data lake, and also need to specify the connection of the data lake. And in Create Instance Data Lake Relational Engine step, you enable the data lake relational engine. If you enable data lake in relational engine, you can use the data lake to ingest, store, and analyze high volumes of data in a disk-based database. If you don't enable data lake relational engine, you only get a file-based data lake with limited capabilities. And in the size area, you can specify how many vCPUs will be allocated for the coordinator and the workers. the number of vCPUs for the compute instance is calculated from the number of vCPUs for coordinator and worker. And you can also specify how many workers should be created. For the data lake relational engine option, you also need to provide a strong password for the data lake administrator, that is HDL admin. And in this optional step, you can specify if the data lake need to maximally compatible with SAP HANA or SAP Relational Engine. Which option you choose depends on the applications you want to connect to the data lake and what their preference is. Also, if you develop your own applications on top of the data lake, then the developer's knowledge of SAP HANA or SAP Relational Engine would be decisive factor. If you decide to use SAP Relational Engine, then you can use some general options that are specific to SAP Relational Engine. For example, a collation describes how to sort and compare characters from a particular character set or encoding. You can choose from over 30 different collations. If you require, then the case sensitivity can be switched on or off for the collations. And for the uncard data types, you can also specify the collation to be used. Here you can choose between UTF-8 bin and UCA. And of course, you can switch the case-sensitive behavior, whether it is ignored or respect, whether it is upper first or lower first. And now we have created the instance for SAP HANA database and data lake. We will go into the administration part, where we will use SAP HANA Cockpit as our main tool. So how do we access SAP HANA Cockpit? We go to SAP BTP Cockpit first, and then we go to the subcount, the dev space, and click on SAP HANA Cloud Navigator. And then we go into SAP HANA Cloud Central. Here, we select one running database instance and use the action button to find SAP HANA Cockpit. We click on SAP HANA open in SAP HANA Cockpit, and then we will open the database in the SAP HANA Cockpit and perform the monitoring and database overview tasks there. So here is the screenshot of SAP HANA Cockpit. It will display a set of cards that can be used to monitor the SAP HANA Cloud Database instance. This monitoring is only possible using BTP Cockpit navigation to the SAP HANA Cockpit. So here, using the search field, you can search for the keywords using the keywords for the cards you need by the name. For example, we have services cards, memory usage cards, monitoring cards, alerts cards, and connections card. And then, for example, if we are looking at CPU usage, then we can see directly in the CPU usage card, it has a mini chart here. We can also click into the monitor performance, which will be an app for us to perform the monitoring tasks. Here we will show you the several cards that are most relevant to us as administrator. The first one is alerts card. Alerts can be found either directly on the monitoring page by searching them as shown in step 1, or you can you can click on the alert cards to open the alerts app for more monitoring insights on the alerts that have happened on the SAP HANA Cloud Database. The alert app comes with handy filtering to get to the alert as soon as possible, as shown in step 1. And in the alerts display area, you can see the detailed information on the available alerts. The columns provide the following information. We have priority from information to low to media to high to the highest level, that is arrow. This indicates the severity of the alert and how quickly action needs to be taken. And the second column is alert itself. It provides a description of the alert. And then we can see the time that the alert is triggered. And alerting host and port provides the name and port of the host that issues the alert. And we have the source here. They are all coming from SAP HANA. And then the category indicates the category of the alert checker that issues the alert. The alert checkers, they are grouped into categories of availability, backup, configuration, CPU, diagnosis files, disk, memory, other, security, and sessions transactions. By default, you may not see all the alerts and may need to specify the filters to reach your alerts. You can save your alert filters setting by clicking the drop-down default arrow and saving as. This way, you will save the page setting for your next visit. And then you can click on an alert to see its details. Definition, solution options such as SAP notes, hinting the problems and the resolution options and the past occurrences of the alert. And then the check now button lets you rerun the alert checker. An alert definition must have an active status to run the check now manually. To see you can also go into alert definition and edit the alert definition by clicking the button. Now in the definition page, you will see that the alerts come with default threshold values and repeat intervals. You can customize the threshold values to your own company standards. If you want to go into alert definitions from the alert card, you can search for the alert card first and then click in the alert definitions button, or you can go to the individual alert and then click the edit alert definition button. For the search field in alert definitions page, you can search via the status, last run, category, configuration, source, alert definition, and then a list of available alerts is shown. And you can select one of them to open the detail page. Here on this page, you are editing the alert definition. You can specify the threshold for your alert. You can activate or deactivate the alert. And you can specify the alert testing intervals. If an alert is deactivated, then the issue may not be fixed and continue to disrupt services. Once you have finished defining and saving the alert, you can run it using the Check Now button. Similar to alerts, services can be found on database overview in the SAP HANA cockpit. Searching for services will open the services app where manage and observes the different services running and their respective status. And the managed service app, it gives you an overview status summary of your database. The Reset Memory Statistic button lets you clear the statistic history. Peak used memory, it is highest recorded value for used memory since the last time memory statistics were reset. This value is useful for understanding the behavior of used memory over time and under peak loads. Resetting peak used memory allows you, for example, establish the impact of a certain workload on memory usage. If you reset peak used memory and run a workload, then you can then examine the new peak used memory value. Then go to alerts button, let you directly open the alerts application to investigate the alerts associated to this resource. The Queue Service button stops the selected service immediately, and if the related option is selected, creates a crash dump file. Normally, the SAP HANA daemon will be restarted and will restart the queued service. And the setting icon lets you add and remove columns from the display. Not all columns are visible by default, so you can customize the columns on your own. And now, if we click into individual role, then we will go to Manage Services app. Service column shows the service name. For example, the index server, name server, XS engine, and so on. The status column shows the status of the services. For example, whether it's running, running with issue, starting, stopping, or stopped, or not running. And the role column shows the role of the services in a failure situation. Currently not applicable in SAP HANA Cloud. And the port column show the port number of the service in a failover situation. Uses for the internal communications between services. The process ID column shows the operating system process ID assigned to this service. The CPU column display a mini chart visualizing the CPU usage of these services. Choosing the mini chart opens the performance monitor app for a more detailed breakdown of CPU usage. The memory column provides a mini chart visualizing the memory usage of the services. You can also open the performance monitor app for monitor memory usage by clicking it, and the different colors represent different status of the memory. For example, dark green shows the used memory, light green shows the peak memory, the gray stroke represents the effective allocation limit, and the light gray background represents the physical memory. Here is the screenshots for the performance monitor if you click into the mini chart. Now we can go to the performance monitor app. We can go to this app via the click from the services. We can also search for the app from the homepage. We can search for the keywords monitor, memory, or CPU. And then we will go to the memory usage card or other card to switch between used and resident memory. Hovering from the summary, we can see the category breakdown in numbers. Clicking the memory usage card, we can navigate to the memory usage app, opening in the performance monitor app. You can see that the preset is 10 days in time range. We can change that. And we can also select between the different refresh rates. Again, in the same app, Performance Monitor, we can also choose CPU instead of memory, besides memory. We can also choose disk to performance to monitor. So the KPI that we use for either disk or memory or CPU, we can change it. For example, here we export, we change the KPI and then export the views. We can export it as a zip file for further analysis. And the content to be exported are from the system of mload history info or mload history host, mload history service, m database, m services. And from the performance monitoring app, we can also select monitor table usage. Or we can go to the table usage app by searching it in the homepage. Monitor table activity to identify where you can improve performance and reduce memory utilization. Large in-memory tables that are accessed infrequently, they are good candidates for the data lake. On the table usage app, here we can check the alerts using the go-to alerts. We can filter tables by access the size. We can switch between bubble chart and table view. The example in the above screenshot shows the top 50 list of tables that have less than 5,000 reads and are bigger than 150 MB. The list shows 4 tables, so these 4 tables might be candidates for moving to the data lake. But that needs to be discussed with the application and development team, because the way tables can be accessed will change when moved to the data lake. So we're going back to the monitoring database entity. Next, we will take a look at the sessions, threads, and SQL statements. To go to the sessions application, we can search for sessions card in the homepage, in the search bar, and then we click into the sessions. Here we will see the overview of active or inactive sessions in their relation to applications, whether a session is blocked, and if the session is blocked, which session is blocking it, the number of transactions that are blocked by a blocking session, and also the statistics such as average query runtime and the number of DML and DDL statements in a session, and the operator currently being processed by an active session. We can also switch additional insights using the filters and the additional columns. We can check the connection status, the transaction status, and navigate to the threads or block transactions using the navigate to button. We can also cancel the sessions using the cancel session button to terminate the perspective session. And next, we will look at threads. Again, we can search for the threads in the search bar and then click into it to open the threads application. In these threads app, we can see for example, the longest running threads, the threads types, and the details. We can also use the additional columns to get more insights on the threads, or use the call stack information for the chosen threads. Here, for more information about the threads and threads samples, you can go to the SAP notes here. And next is the SQL statement card. We can search for the SQL statement card from the search bar, or and then we can click into the card to see the SQL statement app. The SQL statement app can show us the overview of all the SQL statements. And we can analyze the most critical statements and identify the root cause of poor performance, CPU bottlenecks, or out-of-memory situations. You can use the additional columns to get more insights on the thread, on the statements. And by clicking the setting, you can see there are more columns to choose from. For example, blocking session, statement runtime, allocated memory, average execution memory, and so on. And on the SQL statement page, there are 4 views available: the overview, an active statement, SQL plan catch, shows the insights into the workload of the SAP HANA database through a list of all the statements currently cached in the SAP HANA database. And the expensive statements trace analyze the individual SQL queries whose execution time is above a configured threshold. And for a detailed investigation, press More button to see the full SQL statement. We can copy the SQL statement for further analysis or documentation purposes. We can manage the workload in SAP HANA by creating workload classes and workload class mapping. Click the sysdefault workload class to create a new workload class to dynamically manage the resource consumption of the selected SQL query. A workload restriction can be mapped to a specific schema, object, application, or database user, application, or the user group. With these, we end today's first session. To recap, we covered the theoretical aspect of the SAP HANA Cloud, SAP BTP, and SAP HANA database storage definition and creation of SAP HANA database, as well as the data lake instances. We also look into the SAP HANA cockpit and its administration services or apps, which help to keep the database in check and good health. Okay, so we still have 5 more minutes to end this session. Let's first stop the recording.
Recording stopped.
And I see that there is one question. Can you please explain the previous slides once again? I'm sorry, I didn't see that. So what is the slides you want to look? Can you please explain the previous slides? Which slides is it? And I see one question. Is there a provision to send the SAP BTP, to send the HANA DB alerts to ticketing tools like ServiceNow located elsewhere? That's a really good question. Send alert to ticketing tools. The alert is actually can be notified by the email, but I'm not sure whether it can be sent to the ticketing tools. So I will look for the answer of this question, and then in the next session, which is on this Friday, and we can discuss this question. Okay. Slide number 28. Okay, let's see slide number 28. This slide connecting using the SAP BTP cockpit. Okay, so on this slide, I think it is after we successfully create a trial account, and then we go to the SAP BTP cockpit. This shows the overview of the global account, and then we need to go into the global account. And then go into the sub-account. Here, SAP BTP account, we have trial account or enterprise account. If you are using the enterprise account, then you can go to the overview page and select trial account homepage. A trial home button, and the rest of the creation and log on the procedure is just like the trial account, which means you can choose from the enterprise account or trial account. And if you are using the enterprise account, you can go to the trial home by clicking the button here. As the individual user, you can also create your own trial account. And the scope of trial account here, it has the limitation when you use the trial account for your SAP HANA cloud. So I will paste it in the chat box. So as we said, if you are creating database instance in your trial account, you will have no option but a fixed 30 gigabyte RAM, 2 virtual CPU, and 120 gigabyte storage. And for the data lake instance, there will be 4 virtual CPU and 1 terabyte storage. And you can create 1 instance each only if you're using the trial account. That is the scope of the trial account. Okay, time's up. It's already we are already running out of time, and we do receive questions. Very good questions. Can we get the recording link? Sure. And I am sending the recording link one more time. Thank you for your participating, and see you next time on this Friday, and we will also answer the remaining questions. If you have more questions, you can also ask the questions in the next session. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you, Remit. Hi, Remit. I think we can close the session.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for the great presentation and valuable insights in today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, dear attendees, this now concludes our webinar presentation for today, and you all can disconnect at this time. Thank you. Great day ahead, everyone. Bye bye. Take care. We'll meet soon.